YouTube, welcome back to another ROMZ video, and today we got part 2 of the Candace Owen versus 20 Feminist series in today's video. And listen, if you guys haven't seen part 1, listen, go check it out. It was really funny and stuff like that. I think I recorded it a few days ago actually as well, so I've kind of missed a little bit of what I remember and stuff like that. But if you guys haven't tuned into part 1 and you're tuned into part 2, make sure you click off this video and go watch part 1 before, because you guys won't know the context of what's going on around here. But if you guys have actually watched part 1 and you're on part 2, do me a favor, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do that good stuff as well. As I said, we're actually 10 subs away, guys. We are 10 subs away from 100. 10 subs away, man. Like, and if you guys listen, if you guys want to share your friends and stuff like that about the video, I would appreciate if you guys would, because I want to get to 100 subs, not only for me but just as a community, guys, and I really would appreciate that, man. It would mean a lot. But yeah, man, let's just get straight into the video. Let's see what's going to happen. The first part was really interesting, talking about girls with women rather value career over children. So listen, we'll see what the other one involves.
My next claim is that we live under a matriarchy,
we live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. If you guys don't know what a difference between matriarchy and patriarchy, matriarchy is basically where the world is run by men, and patriarchy is the opposite, where the world is run by women. And if I'm wrong, listen, you guys can quote me, but I think, just to double check, I think that's the correct definition.
Patriarchy.
And just on that, I do believe we live in a matriarchy still. That's just my opinion, just to start off with as well. I still think the world is ruled by men. There is now more women in power and stuff like that, which I guess is a good thing at the end of the day. But I think a lot of people don't realize that people that actually run the world, that we don't know. I just generally think this is unknown, and this is where my conspiracy theorist brain is tingling a little bit, which I don't want to say too much on YouTube because I don't want to get banned. I want to get monetized, so I'm going to keep it there. But 100%, I still think we do live in a matriarchy. Like, I still believe men are, that maybe a powerful 1% of men are still running this world, which we'll never know who, because people have some justice of who it's going to be. People have these, might be this person, might be this person, it could be many of these people, but in reality I don't think anyone knows. Like, I genuinely don't think anyone knows, so we'll see what's going to happen.
Hi, hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Princella, the Queen Maker.
I love that.
Princella.
So, you say we live in a matriarchy.
Right.
Can you give me the definition of patriarchy?
Yes. Well, the patriarchy is the idea that the system, our system in America, is being run by men, and that women are having to exist under a system that immediately disadvantages them because men are behind it. And I disagree with that pointedly. I think actually we're living in a society where people are being very much influenced socially.
Oh, I got the wrong way around. Oh my god, I got the wrong way around. So matriarchy is the women and the patriarchy is the men. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so I basically got the definition right, but the wrong way around. So yeah, sorry guys. Matriarchy is where we live right now. We are run by women, and a patriarchy is run by men.
By women.
Okay, so the denotative definition of patriarchy.
I still believe we do live in the patriarchy though. So I thought Candace was saying we do live in the no, then I have to agree with the feminists. I still think we do live in the patriarchy.
Is father rule, and where positions of government are held majorly by men, where women are largely excluded. So 125 House of Representatives are female, and that's only about 25%.
Right.
And only about 28% make up Senate, and 3.3% of Congress up until this date have ever been women. So by denotative definition, we literally live in a patriarchy.
Yes, so I disagree with that. So I think what this gets to, which is actually an important part of the conversation, is that people always think that where there is disparity, there's somehow inequality, and I actually reject that entirely. I think it's just a difference in what we're interested in. I think we're biologically wired, we're interested in different careers, and just because if we looked in the fashion industry and said, oh, well, it's being dominated by women, it wouldn't mean that, okay, well, that means that the fashion industry is a matriarchy and men have no sense. It just means have no ability to communicate how they feel in the fashion industry. I literally think that those numbers show that we're just biologically different. So
yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think women, personally for me, I think as a woman, I think you got good girls are watching this, I think you guys can agree as well. I don't think as a woman you're biologically hardwired to be like running stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's what women really want to do. There is few women that do want to do that, of course, but I still think a staggering majority of women don't want to be running stuff, like, because I said there's a lot of stress, and I don't think women like doing stressful jobs and stuff like that. Like, if women do actually want to do stressful jobs, you don't see much women do construction, you don't see women do hard labor, stuff like that, because they're not built to do that, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. Like, I don't really blame you guys for doing that. So for me personally, I still think if women actually, I don't think women do want to be doing these hard labor jobs or leadership roles. I think the opportunity is there for women to do it. I just personally don't think women want to do it, in my opinion. I just don't think most women will want to be like doing leadership and stuff like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in this day and age, the way we all live in, maybe women do want to be in leadership roles. But I still believe that maybe, you know, the opportunity is there compared to maybe 50, 60 years ago. So the opportunity wasn't there. But I still don't think women want to take it, in my opinion.
I actually think politically, women have shown that they have a lot more power than men have. And I'm talking about just in terms of political movements, the most recent I can think of.
I don't really agree with that. I still think men still have more power than women. But then again, it does depend on the field that you're in. I still think that respect is there in terms of like, let's be honest, man, they're gonna pick the man over the woman. And some instances where like actually the woman deserves it more than the man, but then people pick the man over the woman. So there's a deal of sexism here, and sexism does exist. I mean, sexism is a thing anyway at the end of the day. So it is what it is.
Is the Me Too movement, right? If a bunch of women get together and complain about a man and refer to the patriarchy and scream, generally speaking, let me know if you agree, the media will celebrate that. If a bunch of men got together and were shrieking and speaking about women, generally speaking, the media would call them all white supremacists and say that we had a misogyny problem and that things were really wrong in society. Women are allowed to be more vocal in general about problems than men are.
Well, let me speak to that. When we're talking about government and media, these are two different things. So under the denotative definition of a patriarchy, by the percentages that are occupied in the government, which is majority male, defines us as a patriarchy. Now, what it comes to for capitalism, for marketing purposes and control, for capital and revenue, that is a totally different conversation. But who's making the laws? I don't think that women are the ones voting to have their reproductive rights taken away, where you have rape, incest, and all of these things excluded to force women to be able to have. I don't think women in government would largely vote against their own interests.
Yeah, I do actually agree with that. Like, I think that's just not logical for women to vote against, like, you know, like reproductive rights and stuff like that. Maybe there might be one or two. There might be. I do think maybe one or two women are involved in that type of decision, but in the overall like, majority aspect, if we're talking in general, it's mostly men. Like, let's be completely honest. Men still rule. I do still think men do rule the world. Like, maybe in terms of like, you know, society nowadays, we get punished more, but behind the scenes, I think a lot of people just look at the surface level, like, and just look at, yeah, women do all this stuff as well. Yeah, I think women have more benefits now than men do in this day and age. But let's look at behind the scenes, guys. I think a lot of people don't realize like what's going on behind the scenes. A lot of people just are just sheep, and then just when as soon as the carrot goes down, they just look at the carrot. But I'm looking at the person that's actually putting the carrot there in the first place. You get what I mean? So I think once you develop that mindset where you're kind of like, you know what, let me just stop thinking surface level. Let me actually go deep into this stuff instead of going wide. Then I think you're going to find out more that it's still male dominated to this day. I still believe that men don't dominate is one that rules the world. Like, it can't, maybe women are probably more involved, but it's still not, I don't think it's a majority, in my opinion. I don't think we do live in a matriarchy, but I guess what they're talking about in terms of matriarch, I don't think they're talking about, you know, the people that rule the world behind the scenes. I'm guessing they're talking about how society is today. So I think that's what they're talking about. But that's just surface level. You know what I mean? It's just a surface level thing.
Majority male, patriarchy.
Okay, I think, love that point. Are women allowed to vote?
Oh, of course they are.
Who's voting that patriarchy, and then out of curiosity?
No, I totally agree. And you want to know why? Because there are so many women who think like you. You submit to the idea of men ruling everything. And your ideology is spread across a lot of women who also falsely believe to vote against their own interests just to complain about it in the end. You know, earlier you said that, you know, women would be much more happier working at home, but don't you agree that it's human nature to want things that you don't have. So during the 1950s, which is something that you constantly bring up, you know, it wasn't until 1994 that it was legally illegal to beat your wife. And so what we're dealing with,
Just referring to the 1994 Violence Against Women Act, which provides protections at the federal level of victims.
is people wanting something, and then when they get it, they're not happy with it, and then they have to revoke that idea for something else. And so what you're saying is that women vote for these things because they have the same mentality as you.
Okay. So you're acknowledging that women have the freedom to vote.
Yes.
And you're saying that women are still existing mentally, even with the freedom to vote.
Correct.
They are voting men in because we are still victims of.
No, I don't believe in victimhood. I believe in lack of education and lack of knowledge, because one of the things that you also
Do
say...
you think that it could just be that more men are running for positions of office?
No, not necessarily, because remember, the United States, the average reading comprehension of people in the United States is 6th grade. So we're not dealing with educated people.
6th grade? Yo, that is... Nah, reload that again.
Reading
Did she just say 6th grade? So that's for the UK, guys. 6th grade is year 7, basically. Year 7 in UK, man.
Of people in the United States is 6th grade.
Year 7 reading comprehension. Bro, if that actually... I don't know if that's true. I don't even know if that's true, but I'll be honest, man. I don't think that's far off, you know. Bro, I know disrespect to Americas, man, but some Americans are just so dumb. Like, you guys can't even name 3 countries, bro. Like, that's the first thing. You guys don't even have passports. You guys don't even have passports, man. Like, what are you guys talking about, man? Like, what's going on here? Like, and you're reading comprehension of 6th grade, if that's true. Like, that is mad.
Dealing with educated people. Lack of education is the cause for what we see in the world. And
But then again, education in terms of school and education in terms of the real world is 2 different things. So her point is valid in terms of education, like school point of view, but an actual real world is completely different. Like, you might not know how to read, but you still might know how the world works. Like, it doesn't mean they're dumb. That society will tell them that they're dumb because, you know, they're not going through the schooling system to get indoctrinated, basically. So, but in terms of actual street smart and like the actual how the world works, I don't think that's dumb.
if we educate the women better, because a nation can rise no higher than its woman, and if she reading and comprehending at a 6th grade...
But do you think women are actually are in better education now than what it was 50, 60 years ago?
level, and popping out a lot of kids, you know, because the brokest people in the world pop out the most kids. So if we have those people voting, of course they're going to vote against their interests because they're voting for some utopian society that will never exist.
Okay, so that's why you think Kamala lost.
Mm-hmm. This ain't even about Kamala.
Because you're talking about women. No, but we had an opportunity.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had a male running and we had a female running. And we actually showed that Trump increased the amount of women who voted for him, right? So I'm asking you, do you believe that the reason that happened was because women became less educated during that time?
They've always been less educated. Did you know that UNESCO says that...
Nah, this is where I disagree. I think women are way more educated now than what it was 50, 60 years ago. Now, I saw a stat, I don't know if that's true, that women actually are in way more, like, I think women actually more than men are in like uni, like college or uni attendance now in terms of like actual education than what it was 50, 60 years ago.
That 2/3 of the 7.7 million illiterate adults is women, illiterate, and we have 6th grade educated people voting. And guess who? Guess the dominant population is white women. And so guess what? Now you have to add a race element into that, which you already know exists, because we as black folks, we ain't the dominant people voting.
Wait, what's this got to do with race?
Okay, so now when we have to go into white supremacy and feminism, now you have to look at the mind of the people who actually have economic success and what they're voting for, because classism actually matters as well. So I'm sorry, but a lot of people vote based on their feelings and not based on policy.
I agree with that. Most people do vote on feelings. Even in the UK as well, like literally most people just vote of, oh, does it make him feel this good and stuff like that. Let's be honest, man, you know, even when Trump won the election, right, and I don't want to get too political, stuff like that, when Trump won the election, like, what has he really, like, listen, yeah, cool, people might say he's better than Kamala, listen, I'm not going to get into this debate, man, but has he really made a massive difference that people really would have hoped for? Because when the election was going on, really, bare people were telling me, Trump was going to change the whole thing and all that type of stuff. But look what's going on in the world. Literally, look what's going on around the world. Like, well, look what's going on in the world. The world's not getting any better anytime soon. Like, I'm not telling him he's going to solve world peace. I know he's not going to do that, but at least mitigate like these wars that are going on. Like, he's not doing anything about it. So I mean, and that's what, and people, and even the people that vote right or left, I think both parties, right and left, they're both feelings, in my opinion. They 100% do.
Guys?
Yes.
Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seats.
Thank you for the respectful conversation.
At least to be respectful, though. Yo, that guy was running it for his life, man. Look at this guy, bro. My guy's doing this with his lips, bro. You know he's ready. But look at him. This guy's Look, bro. Look at this guy. He's running for his life, bro. Yeah, this guy's doing some next Naruto run or something like that, bro. It's like, you know, when the year 7 kid, that year 7 fat kid, basically me, yeah, that used to literally go, this year 7 kid, the fat kid, yeah, that literally used to fucking run to the lunch hall, bro, just to get the first dibs on food, bro. That's what he's feeling like, bro. He's running. As soon as that bell rings, bro, he's like, zoom, he's going for it, bro. Yo. And he's smiling as well, bro. Oh my god. Oh my days.
How are you?
I was that kid, bro. I'll be honest.
Great to meet you. I'm doing
Very
well.
nice to meet you.
So I view this argument as a matter of fact, right? This is a descriptive claim about the culture, reality we live in, and patriarchy being a system in which men hold the predominance of power in both political, economic, and social methods of organization. So S&P 500 companies, 90% of CEOs are men. Board members, 70% of CEOs are men. 70% of congressional members are men. Now, you may provide some sort of naturalistic argument to why that is, but what you're essentially arguing then is that there's a natural patriarchy, which I think feminists would all disagree with. We think that there's a clear social pressure as to why this is. And part of the evidence for that is since feminism's arise within our public culture, we've now seen an explosion of women entering these fields, but we have a long way to go. But fundamentally, the claim regarding patriarchy or matriarchy, we are so much closer to where we were just a few decades ago or a couple generations ago where women couldn't hold a credit card than a system where men can't hold a credit card. We're still much closer to that form of society.
Why would you say that we're closer to that? What do you mean by that? Did you just qualify that?
Because in terms of economic power, so for example, household wealth, women own 55 cents to every dollar a man owns.
Who controls household spending, though? So you talk about how the money's made in America. How is it being spent? Who spends it?
So it's primarily spent by women, as you've noted, but then the money where the profit's being generated, it's being generated by men.
Would you rather be the people that are spending and deciding on what the money's being spent on, or would you rather be the person that's just working to earn that?
Well, CEOs and board members aren't working. They own the shares and they're making the profit.
Well, when you own profit is making.
You would much in a capitalist system, by definition, you would much rather be making the profit than spending.
I would much rather be spending your money than having to work for your money. Just so we are totally clear here, I would much rather spend your money than have to go out and earn your money.
Well, you're talking about wage laborers in terms of working, but in terms of
no, I'm speaking about spending power, right?
Sure. Okay.
But that matters. If 85 cents of every dollar, how that's being spent, is being determined by women, that's power. That we can't say spending power is not power.
Why do you think that is the case? It's because women are often relegated to the role of doing grocery shopping, etc. Because for millennia now, or from millennia up until now, women were unable to enter the workforce and have economic political freedom.
So let's get into the reasons, because you brought up something that men are the people that are at the top of these companies, these Fortune 500 companies.
Right. And political power.
You're absolutely right. Why is that?
It's primarily because the women haven't broken the ceiling quite yet in terms of.
Nah. Let's be honest, bro. Like, women have the opportunity to be where men, like, maybe there might be some part, right, where maybe women can't be where men are and stuff like that. There is still sexism into that aspect, but we're in a world where literally women have so much opportunity to do it. It's just that they choose not to. That's just what I truly believe. Women just choose not to do it, and that's fine. This is the thing I hate like so much, and this is why I hate some feminists just piss me off, man. Some feminists do piss me off sometimes. Like, and I'm not trying to defend Candice all the time. You know me, guys. Like, when I do reaction videos, I'm open-minded. I go for both sides. I see, like, he does, like, in terms of feminists, they do make good points, and also Candice makes good points. So I'm kind of doing a more of a level playfield. But going back to what I'm saying, is that, oh, well, you know what, women just, they just don't have the opportunity, they just can't do it because, this, that, the other. But in today's age, like 50, 60 years ago, I agree with you. Yeah, 100% they wouldn't, because they didn't have a flipping carving access a bank card. So of course I completely understand, like I would feel sorry, but you literally do have the opportunity. It's just that most women just choose not to. Like, I know women that literally told me, like, yo, I'd just rather be someone that's less stress-free. I'd rather be someone that, just kind of like, let my man take care of everything. Like, I've spoken to like many women about this shit, but it's not even like I've just, went on this facts and statistics type of website and just looked at it and just, oh, okay, let me go to believe it. I've actually spoken to women and they told me, like, most of the time I spoke to them, they've talked to me about, you know what, I agree, like, there is still some sexism out there, but they don't even want to do it themselves. Like, let's be completely honest, man. There's an opportunity for women to do it. Like, society would actually praise women more than men, bro, for it. Like, you guys see on Instagram, you guys see on Facebook, you guys see everywhere in the media. Like, if the first maybe woman that's a CEO of a company, like, it gets praised more. But if it's a man, no one cares. And I'm not saying it to be a victim. Like, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim for it. It's just that women just don't choose to do that power, because when you have that power, it requires a lot of mind. Like, the mental aspect is really difficult. A lot of people just look at owners and CEOs and say, yeah, they're living good, bro. Are you sure they're living good? Are you really sure they're living good? I don't think they are. I don't think they are living good. But at the end of the day, like, it's just that they know, like, the repercussions that come with it. Yeah, cool, you get maybe a lot of money and, like, stability and freedom, but the freedom and stuff that comes with it is a lot of stress, long hours. You're the sole responsible because you're the CEO, so everyone's going to look up to you for any bad mistakes and shit like that. You can't be like, yeah, I'm a brush it to the side, or else your company's going to fail. Do you get what I mean? And women just some women are just not built for that stress, and that's completely fine. That's just how biologically hardwired you work and stuff like that. Men, I think, are built for more stress than women. I'm not saying women can't deal with stress, 100% they can, but I think we're kind of more built for that, stuff like that. That's just what I truly believe. So it's not that there's no opportunity for this, it's just that they choose not to most of the times. But there is maybe a small percentage, maybe there is no opportunity, but in general, it's just that women just don't choose to be in those higher positions. You don't see many women want to be in higher positions, stuff like that, if they had the option to. Obviously, if there's just like if it's just like a necessity to do it, of course, then they will have to do it. But if they had two options, I'm honest, if I had to be, I have to pick two options. If I was a girl, would you rather, kind of like be in the back burner, doing maybe more of a comfortable job, and be the not limelight, or a woman doing or a woman being a CEO or something? I generally think most women would pick the first bit. They would just don't want to be in the limelight. But I think if we talk to most men will rather take on the responsibility, because they know that it creates more money and they know what the repercussions that come of it. So, and that was a bit of a yap session. I know I went for too long, but I just need to say that on my chest, man, because sometimes a lot of people play victim. Like, I just don't like this victim mentality that we do rock world in. Like, we live in a world where most people have an opportunity. Obviously, I know people, some parts of the world, Africa, obviously, and all these type of places, yeah, they might not have opportunity, but I'm talking about in a Western type of point of view. You have the opportunity to, like, be successful. People just choose not to.
Meeting men in terms of parity with these sort of powers. But what we've seen with the explosion of feminism is that women have actually begun to enter these companies, have risen into both political and economic positions of power. But that continues to grow year by year, which shows that these social pressures are actually breaking apart as soon as feminism comes into play.
So what I would say is what that shows you is that women and men have different interests. And I think this gets into what I was saying, that just because you see a disparity does not mean that it's not just a disparity in what our interests are. That's what's being represented. I don't know why there has been this idea that women should want to aspire to work 80 hours a week in order to be on par with men.
Do you think that interests are innate, or do you think
I think the interests are innate.
So why is it then that, for example, in the 1980s, only a quarter of college graduates were women, where now majority of college graduates are women? That shows that because of the way that social pressures have actually changed, women's interests are actually now changing too. A majority, I think, or at least...
But then again, you could play devil's advocate, saying that the women are just in college, but in college, in the US point of view, is that they're just there because they're there. Just because you're in uni doesn't mean you actually have an interest. Like, I know a lot of people, men and women, that are not in uni just for vibes. Just for vibes. Some are hoes, bro. I'll be honest, some do it for hoes. Men and women do it just to be a hoe. Also, some just to get out of their parents' house. It's not just because you're in uni doesn't mean you have much of an interest in the actual course. I've still think maybe a majority of people obviously do have an interest, but like, it doesn't mean that, yeah, it's set in stone that, yeah, they want to be this for the rest of life. I know a lot of people that literally, they have a graduation, yeah, they might be they graduate to be a lawyer, but then they're working at McDonald's. Like, and I'm being like, what happened, bro? Like, it's crazy.
Half of law school graduates are now women. It used to be the case for example, a few hundred years ago, that a lot of primary philosophers like Immanuel Kant, Hegel, didn't even believe women could be reasonable. Now here you are today doing a debate with me where we're using logic and reason to get to these flows, and nobody here would dismiss the claim that you can't be rational or logical or be, for example, a great lawyer because you're a woman.
Right. So I totally agree with you that women, but I think they have actually entered into the workforce. I mean, entered into college under this external pressure of feeling that if you don't go to college, you're going to be a failure.
So you admit that pressures are a part of the way interests work.
Yes, but we're disagreeing on where the pressure is coming from. Like, I think that now the pressure is that if a woman doesn't enter the force, there's no longer this idea that, okay, we're going to come together as a family, whereas there was this reality that there was this understanding that you would have a partner. People were getting married when they were 18, 19 years old. Right. Our grandparents, now it's because of feminism. And I'm saying this is the downside of feminism. Women no longer have that sense. They think that if they have to be pressured to go take out a loan to go to college, and then you have the pressure to get...
Well, they have the same pressures as men because women no longer rely on it for an income.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please.
I did like our conversation. Might have to come back to you.
Hi, guys. Owens. I'm Paris.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So can I explain to you why I believe we live in a patriarchy and why I believe we live in a society that's preferential to men? So I'm going to use the example of male violence. There's a lot of places I can look, but we're going to talk about that. 81% of women have been sexually assaulted. 1 in 6 have been raped. 1 in 4 women are the victims of domestic violence. 98% of perpetrators of rape and sexual assault are men. 95% of perpetrators of domestic violence are men. In regards to human trafficking, 70% of human trafficking victims are women. So we're seeing a very clear issue of men being violent towards women. And then when we look at the way that our government handles that, 1 out of 3 rapes go reported. And then out of the ones that go reported, 7% end in jail time. So if we're looking at that, and we're looking at the fact that our government doesn't really get that worried about male violence.
Well, so what I would say is, going back to biological differences, men are naturally inclined more towards aggression than women are. So I am not shocked by you telling me. It's, even if you looked at, like I said, male on male crime, you would see that there are more instances of men killing other men than there are instances of women killing other women. And that, I think, actually speaks to our biological differences, which is actually at the root of everything that I believe about feminism being a lie, is because they're trying to program people to believe that men and women are the same. Now, I don't think that pointing to the fact that men are more aggressive than women, which is a point that you and I 1000% agree on, whether or not that manifests in the very wrong way, men harming other men, which I think they do more probably than they are beating women, men on male violence. That manifestation doesn't change the fact that men and women are just biologically hardwired different. I think it's actually proof of that. I don't think it has any...
100%. We live in a world where people say men and women, we're not the same, man. Like, I don't get why that's such a bad, like, such a wild thing to say. Men and women are just not, we're just not the same. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I told you, I keep saying this, man. Men are better women in some aspects, and women are better in in some aspects as well. Like, it's a 50-50 thing. Morally, as a human, yeah, obviously we are, like, we should be treated equally and stuff like that. But in general, men and women are just not the same. We're just not the same. We're just not the same. As I said, I keep going back to the magnet analogy. Opposites attract. Why do we get in relationships? Why are men attracted to women? Why are women attracted to men? Because we're the opposite of each other. You can't be attracted by someone that's the same. That's just, and that's not even me. That's not even an opinion. That's just a fact. Like, a magnet literally defines everything. North and south, they're attracted because they're opposites. Women and men, they're attracted to each other because they're opposites. And yeah, make it as you will. Maybe, the men stays at home and then the woman works hard, or vice versa. The men works and the woman stays home. Regardless, it could be opposites. It could be the most feminist of men, or it could be the most masculine of women. But the whole point of it is that the reason why we're attracted to the other gender is because we're opposite, because we're different. And that's the truly thing, and that's just not going to change. It's just not going to change. Like, we live in a world like, maybe, yeah, you know what, we should do it. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like gay relationships and stuff like that, which is fine. Okay, yeah, do what you need to do, but it's not biologically hardwired for us to do, you know what I mean? So that's what I truly believe in that aspect.
To do with the fact of power dynamics in this country, because to the contrary, if you look at prison rates and talking about how disparities don't mean anything, the majority of overwhelming people that are in prison are male, right? There's a reason for that. So when it manifests in a good way, that male aggression, is the reason why we have men defending us, men that are willing to go to war and die for our nation. So aggression being an aspect of masculinity has nothing to do with the conversation of whether or not feminism is harming women today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that
we agree.
Women are biologically different.
Yes,
men are.
But I don't. What I want you to connect it to is, I guess, power. Because what I'm talking about when I say that we're existing under a matriarchy is that I believe that the social pressures politically and socially that are coming, and even within our music, if we talk about Hollywood, it's very much
that power
has become
means nothing. Like, just because who was on the top music charts or whatever are women, okay, how many women have paid maternity leave?
Okay, that's not
like how are things panning out in the family courts? Why are abusive men having access to their children? Like, why are women making less than men? Like, what? I mean, none of that means anything to me.
So that gap, obviously, I'm sure you've recognized the gender gap has been debunked so many times. It's almost foolish to debunk it again.
Well, you could say, yeah, that most women will go into jobs where they're making less,
Yes.
but then it does answer the question of why do we not value women's labor?
That's not valuing women's labor. It's just a reality that if you are going to be a person that aspires to become a brain surgeon, you are going to make more money than a person that aspires to do something that's, like in the household.
Can we go back to the bail bonds question?
Yes.
Why does our country not persecute men then who are rapists?
Well, the majority of people who are in prison are men, so I don't know what you mean that we don't prosecute men that are rapists. We even prosecute people.
7% go to jail. Only 7% go to jail.
I don't know what that has to do with the question of whether or not we're living in a matriarchy or a patriarchy.
Because our government is preferential to men.
You're saying that they only like to arrest men when they kill someone.
Yeah, I guess what she said is is correct, because. But then again, there is the grave one is a very, very difficult one, which I need to think about that a lot more, man. But I do still think men do rule the world, though. I still, even my head's hurting by this, man. But I still believe that we do live in a patriarchy. It's just maybe now it's kind of more. It's more like hidden. Like, I still think we do, but it's not to the patriarchy that we live in now. It's not to the same extent where it was 60 years, 70 years ago. It was just women were never in power. Like, it was literally strictly all men. I still think women are in power. Women are more in power now, but I still think majority of women, majority of men are in power still. So. Yeah.
But our government is awarding men for raping women. I don't understand what
they're not. They don't care. Rape is effectively legal. You can literally rape a woman and you have a very low likelihood of actually going to jail as a man.
Rape is effectively legal.
It's effectively legal. How many men are actually going to jail for rape?
I actually agree with you that in terms of sex crimes, and I don't know how you're peeling out women, because I would even, and again, this has nothing to do with our argument today, but I would even say that people are not being prosecuted hard enough when we're dealing with crimes against children, period. Talking about 100%. Sexual crimes not being prosecuted
100%.
In this country is a whole other conversation, and you will not get a disagreement with me, but I think that it's wrong to say that it's somehow attached to being a woman when you know that there are so many children that are going through the exact same thing. I mean, the light sentences that are tossed out for pedophiles, it's completely ridiculous.
All right, guys,
terrible.
pause.
But I don't think it has anything to do with the conversation that we're having right now. But I agree with
It has everything to do with it, and you're separating it to make
That's time. Please return to your seat. I'm going to add 5 more minutes to this claim.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Adam. Nice to meet you.
We've got Vic Star in the house, man. Let's
So
go.
your claim is, just to be clear, that we live in a matriarchy, right?
Yes.
So I think even you'd agree that on a global level, that's obviously ridiculous when there are countries where people literally are honor killed for like Instagram posts. But even if we're talking about just the US, right? We don't have paid maternity leave. Abortion is illegal in over a dozen different states. And as someone earlier was mentioning, women are overwhelmingly the victims of sexual violence and domestic abuse. So that doesn't seem like a very well-designed matriarchy where women are victims or, lacking power in so many different realms of society on like a structural level.
I just do not think that women are lacking power on a structural level because they can't, which they can, by the way, abort their children. Is that like one of your components? Is that?
There's many states where abortion is illegal. Do you just?
It's actually, I swear nowadays, don't quote me guys if I'm wrong, but I swear most states actually do allow abortion now. I don't even know in the UK, surely they do, innit? I think it's only a few states that do. Yeah, of course, like, the abortion takes a completely different thing we can get into in a future video, man. But in general, like, I think most states and most countries do allow abortion.
I am going to dispute that having a child is somehow something that restricts women in any capacity. Like you're saying
What about the ability to decide what you do with your own body?
I don't believe that I don't believe that murder is something that you should be allowed to decide.
Sure, and murder is illegal.
It's actually what you're doing to somebody else's body.
Sure,
so I'm
murder-
pro-life. So
Sure.
the argument that
she's pro-life
women
this
will
one.
only be free if they're able to kill off their own offspring, to me is
Yeah,
a really extremely off-colored.
Yeah, well, I guess if you frame it that way, everyone kind of has to agree with you. But when we're talking about abortion, when 99% take place in the first few weeks, when there's no thalamus, there's no cortex, there's no capacity for consciousness in the fetus that's developing, saying that fetus that has no capacity to be conscious, aware, anything else, should have the same rights, same bodily autonomy as a woman, that is an obvious. I mean, you're making my point for me. That
you're actually making a
fact that
point that
make this
people
point-
who are are born with tremendous disabilities should just be killed because of cognitive
I'm sorry,
functions and ability.
I don't remember saying that. When did I say that?
The best argument, which
Hold on,
again,
no.
this is sidetracked.
You're saying that
Let's get back on
we should
track.
kill people with disabilities?
What I'm saying that if you're saying I am saying that if you're saying that it's cognitive ability and at what
The
stage
ability
you
to
think.
be conscious, and just so we're clear, disabled people are conscious. They're aware.
Okay. So the best argument that it is a life is the fact that you have to kill it. You have to have a procedure to kill it, right? So you have to intervene on the
there's
development. Like you
living
said, you
human
called
cells in it, but
you
it's
called
not
it
conscious.
a developing life.
Sure.
If you have to go into your body and murder it, then
I'm not
it's
disputing that
murder.
there's living human cells in a fetus.
Again, so we
That's not the
can just
question.
tack that off because we just have a fundamental disagreement on
Sure,
whether or
then
not
we
a
can
child
talk
is a
about
life.
paid
I don't
maternity leave.
think-
People have been talking a lot about whether you have to be a mother, you have
Yes.
to work. A lot of women have to pick one or the other because in many cases, if you want to have a child, first of all, there's a big gap in your resume, so getting a job after that might be super difficult. And then secondly, even in the process of having that child, being pregnant, especially in the third trimester, and then raising the child, where the vast majority of the burden typically is on the mother, the workplace and our system of our economy is not tailored to make that easy for them.
But I think even with when women are taking care of the child, I think they'd rather I swear they'd cut less hours anyway, though. So I mean, maybe there might be some that would rather. I mean, for me, if you have a child and you still want to be valuing your career over the child, it's crazy for me. I truly believe as soon as you have a child, even for the man as well, you got to prioritize the child. I'm sorry, like that's just how it is. Like it's a child. That's your offspring. At the end of the day, you have to actually prioritize that child. I'm not saying don't work, but you have to prioritize that child. If that means cut less hours, that's calm. But on the other hand, I don't think even women will still want to work full time and take a child, take care of a child in the first place, because being a full-time mum is difficult by itself, man. I think you have to value mothers a lot more, man, because being a mum, it's very difficult, man.
Totally agree with you. And this gets
Paid
into
maternity leave, you agree?
I don't know, actually. I'm agreeing with you that this pressure that you're describing exists for women. And I'm saying that it exists for women because of the feminists that came before who argued for women to enter the workplace. So what you're saying is the solution didn't work and it actually produced more problems. And now we have more problems and we need more governance to be able to tackle these problems. So you're
any
like,
system that's
we need the
forcing
government-
women to make certain decisions, I just wouldn't
it's
call
not
that
forcing
feminism
women
to
to
begin
make-
with.
it's not
Women should have the
forcing-
option to choose, do I want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do I want to work? Do I have some mix of both?
Right.
That's the entire point here.
But you are also making an argument that if you are a woman who does run a business and does have employees, that they should be forced to pay them maternity leave.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let me
That's
tell
like
you.
saying taxes are forced. Yeah, there's certain things the government does to regulate our economy to ensure equality and justice and better outcomes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but just so you know, when you do that, like to a small business
every
owner,
other developed country does.
what you are arguing for is supporting big corporations and taking out the little guys because
I'm arguing for supporting people that want to be mothers and also work at the same
Right,
time.
I
The mechanism we do that with, it can be
But you can't-
subsidies,
you-
tax-
But you can do both, though. I don't know why, like, it's either one or the other. I still think you can be a mum and work at the same time. You just have to prioritize one a little bit more. Like, you can't do 50-50. There's no way. You can't work full-time and be a full-time mum. That's just, you can't. Like, especially for a woman as well. Like, you can't, the stress now will be unbelievable. Like, you got to do one or the other. You can do both. Like, for me, like, say for example, my girl, like, my future girl, like, she got pregnant and she's working. And I'd preferably, I wouldn't force her, but I'd rather her like take care of the child as the priority, and she wants to work extra hours on the side when she's not busy. yeah, cool, do it. Like, do what you need to do. But you have to take the child first, bro. That's just how it is, in my opinion. And yeah, call me greedy, call me greedy, call me whatever it is. I don't care, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, having a child is so important. Like, for me personally, like, and I don't think some people just don't value a child. Like, it's your offspring. Like, it's your future. It carries on the flipping family circle. You know what I mean? Like, without you, without flipping people getting child, you guys wouldn't even be alive. I wouldn't be alive. So it's mad.
You guys can't just keep this. You can't say that we can't have the economic. We can't get down to the economics of what it actually implies, right?
I have an economics degree, and I can tell you if there's a small business that can't afford to pay maternity leave, the government might probably subsidize them and help cover the costs. Like,
this is why as well. This is why you shouldn't be working 9 to 5, man. Because especially like if you want to like do something that you want to do, like this is for me personally. Like I had a discussion with Uber driver actually as well, man, about why 9 to 5 for me personally. It's just, especially when you be traveling as well, it's just not the right fit for you because you get 30 days. You know, and if say you want to go somewhere for 2-3 months, you can't do it. You can't do it unless you lie saying you're sick for 3 months, which is just going to add more pressure to yourself, and you're more at risk of losing your job if you're actually lying about it. So that's why for me, just good, even a 9 to 5 in general, like it's just adding more stress for yourself by the end of the day. Like for me, like I just want to get to the point where like I can just travel whenever I want to. If say I want to go to Spain tomorrow, yeah, I book the flight tickets, let's go there for 3 months. Fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Where is the government getting money from? This is
tax revenue. I mean,
right, exactly. So from us, just to be clear, from us, and this is the thing that gets me about all of these debates.
Yeah.
The magic solution that everybody has is that we just need to tax the government more.
Every other developed country has paid maternity leave.
But it's not magic, as in like the money is coming.
Magical countries.
The money is coming from you. It's coming from us. So you're sitting here
that's
saying,
how taxes work.
Yes,
yeah, like,
we should be raising taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the entire problem is that the government is already taxing homes times 2, and people are already struggling with what's being taken out of their taxes.
We're not taxing capital gains properly or corporate profits properly.
Sure, you have something that there's a reason that we should be taxing more here, there.
It's an efficiency problem. The reason Don't you guys want like government efficiency, maybe bring in more revenue to help women be mothers? Like,
what I'm saying is that you are just creating a cyclical argument. You're basically saying that women want to be able to have it all. Women cannot have it all because the government...
The choice to do what they'd like.
Okay, but you're saying women should have the choice to have it all, okay? So you're saying...
That's a really interesting way of putting like do you have it all right now where you're working and you're also a mother? Is that having it all?
No, I'm saying that it's not possible for women to have it all. It is impossible.
Okay, what do you have?
And that's one of
whatever that is what I would want other women to have as well, which is the flexibility to work a job and also raise kids if they'd like.
No, but that's exactly. You guys keep arguing that what people want is more flexibility. So you're acknowledging that right now, with feminism on fire, we are agreeing. Women are going into the workforce. Like I'm just kind of using a hyperbolic expression. Feminism is everywhere. We are arguing that women need to have more opportunities. Women need to have more rights. They've taken that. Now you have the majority of people that are graduating with college degrees are in fact women. Men are committing suicide at a higher rate than women. We're looking around the world.
Feminism also would push for like increased awareness of men's mental health. So like
that's fine. Great. You love feminism. That's great. We already know that. We get it.
Most Americans agree with me, by the way.
Actually,
that, like, women should have paid maternity leave.
Culture.
If you go issue by issue and by values, they might not associate with the term feminism because people like you have made it toxic, but the actual values that undergird feminism are extremely toxic.
Okay, indeed, guys, we love to see it.
And then when they begin taxing so that we can account for paid maternity leave for 3 months, which basically means a small business owner has to not have an employee while having to pay months and months and months. Like the person's not there. They're not actually.
Small business doesn't have the revenue to cover paid maternity leave. The government would probably subsidize them to make up the cost.
No, I actually think that the way things were made more sense, where we had an environment where you could afford to take care of children with just one person bringing in income in the house.
Is that possible in the current environment?
You can obviously...
When things are going to get way more expensive with these tariffs as well, like it's not going to be easy to afford anything in the coming years.
Is it going to happen overnight? No, but I think we need to be realistic about the fact that the first thing didn't work, right? The entire argument, the first thing was women entering the workforce is going to make everybody happier and richer. That was the
idea is that women having the choice to enter the workforce is better than them being forced to not do that.
Okay.
That's the argument.
Okay. No, I actually agree with that, with what I'm saying. I think they should have a choice to work. I also truly believe, I think having the choice to work is the best thing to do, like, but getting forced into working is too difficult. As men, we have to work, there's nothing we can do about it, but women, they can have the choice to do it and stuff like that. So I do agree that, I think, the only thing with feminism which I didn't like is like the forcing women to work, like you have to work, like, you know what I mean? But for me, I don't think that's possible. Like, in the day, like, you should have a choice, and this is just for women only. I mean, men, we have to work, but like, as I said, like, we can't be bums. But women you can have a little bit more leeway with them, so they can have the choice to at least either get into the workforce and they can have to deal with the consequences if they do get in the workforce, or B, be a stay-at-home mother. But then again, it contradicts the point, because then you can't live off of one single income household unless you're about £2 million a millionaire minimum. So it's mad, bro.
Okay, that actually is not the argument at all. The argument was that women would become, and I'm talking about what the feminists got ahead of, and this is why women
like
women
this
need to be
imaginary
like
Twitter
men.
feminist, but like right now you're talking to me, and that's not the argument.
I'm not actually debating an imaginary Twitter feminist. I'm speaking to you, and I have no
Right.
idea why you're becoming increasingly more rude when I'm just rebutting your points that you're
no,
bringing
you're not
up.
responding to my point.
I
That's
am
the issue.
responding to your point. I'm saying that you're creating a cyclical argument where you keep saying that the thing that you just did, that you said was going to be enough.
This guy's trolling, man. It's funny,
What
right?
we actually need is for women to just enter the workforce. Oh, women are in the workforce, and actually
not
we have,
enough. I'm saying we don't have enough because we don't have
and I'm
paid
telling you
maternity
that
leave.
you're also not going to have enough, because you're going to then be complaining when you get that paid maternity leave.
I'm not
because
gonna get maternity leave.
Okay, well, they are arguing for family paid leave, so
That's even better, yeah.
okay,
I
so
love that.
you might get.
Do you think
might
fathers
get
should also be
maternity
around to
All
help
right,
raise
guys,
children?
pause.
leave. I think who's going to work if everybody goes home every time a child is
Not
born?
everyone's going to have a kid at the
Pause,
same time.
guys. Pause. All right.
Everyone will have a male partner.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you as well. My final claim is that
All right, before we get to... Actually, let me see this.
feminism has made things easier for men.
Feminism has made things easier for men. I don't know about that one, man. Anyway, but I hope you guys enjoyed that video, man. That was part 2 of the Candace Owens versus 20 feminists, man. And I can't lie, I'll be honest. If I had to say, I'm leaning towards the feminists, man. I'll be honest. I was leaning towards the feminists just a little bit. Listen, I'm not a feminist myself. I don't identify myself as a feminist. I will never be. I will never be. So, but on the other hand, you have to give credit when credit's due. I genuinely think, at least with that Adam guy as well, he did make a good point. Like, you know, you should be given a choice, as women should be given a choice to work. You know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be a thing where women are forced to work. I mean, that's what feminism have done. But at the end of the day, it should be a choice. But that's what it is, man, at the end of the day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know you guys your thoughts as well at the end of the day. I'm playing it neutral. You guys might disagree, agree, whatever it is. Just drop them down in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys for part 3, which is going to get very, very interesting about how feminism made things more easier for men. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. But yeah, that's it for me. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace.